Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video that I do every year, and for some reason when I was filming all of my favourites for 2022 and like my least favourites, I completely forgot about this video. I don't know why, it's been a staple on my channel. Honestly, this video is more for myself to kind of keep track of what I'm reading and to have kind of a goal for the end of the year. So this is my top 5 books that I want to read on my TBR for 2023. Now for me this is just a way to look through my bookshelves, pick out 5 TBR books that I definitely have to read by the end of the year. Last year when I did this I did really well. I think I unhauled one series, then I started reading the beginning of another series and I decided it wasn't for me and I DNF'd that and also unhauled it. So these are a really good way for me to get through my TBR. I don't have a massive TBR now. I do have quite a few Kindle books, but I don't really count those. I kind of just reach my Kindle as and when. But my physical TBR, I definitely want to whittle down just because it can get really overwhelming. So without further ado, here are the 5 books on my physical TBR that I want to read in 2023. So the first book that I'm going to mention is actually part of a trilogy, and I do have the first 2 books. However, the last one is releasing at the end of January, so I think by the time that comes around you will have already seen this. But that is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare, and then I also have Chain of Iron. These are both a part of the Last Hours trilogy, so I won't really go into massive detail over it. But basically this is a part of the Shadowhunter universe, and essentially the Shadowhunter universe is a collection of urban fantasies, and each book follows a different set of characters. This particular one takes place after the events of the Infernal Devices, and let me just say that the Infernal Devices was my favourite series out of the Shadowhunter universe, and I have really high hopes for this one. So this takes place after the events of the Infernal Devices. It takes place I think around about 17 years afterwards, and not to spoil it for any of you, but this does follow some of the children of the characters from the previous books. Now you don't necessarily have to read all of these in order, or you don't have to read all of the series, but it's just one that's followed through from my kind of teenage years, and I've just felt like I have to finish it off. And I was putting off reading this last year just because it is such a hefty book. I think it's around 600 odd pages long, so I'm really hoping that I can finish this trilogy this year. I will be sad to see it go. However, I'm excited to jump back into kind of Victorian era London again. So when I was picking out books for this list, I really wanted to diversify it a little bit, and I kept staring at this one book because it's non-fiction, and I don't have a lot of non-fiction on my shelves. I literally only have these last 2 books left, and I wanted to choose it but I also really didn't. However, I have picked it for this list, and that is Talking with Serial Killers Stalkers by Christopher Berry D. Now if you've been on this channel for a while you will know that I think I read a Christopher Berry D book back in 2021 I believe, and I hated it. I hated every single second of it. Now my friend Sophie bought me these for Christmas one year and I was really excited to pick them up. I have 2 of his books left. I have this one and then one that's all about female serial killers, and obviously I love everything true crime, so I was super excited about it. However, when I read the other book, which is like Talking with Serial Killers and Psychopaths, it was so boring. It was like reading a Wikipedia page the whole time, and I just found that he seemed very egotistical about himself and would like almost make it as if he solved the cases and stuff. The book really annoyed me. I didn't enjoy it, and I have these 2 books on my shelf and my friend was like, you don't have to read them. However, I really do feel like I do. Maybe there's some redeeming qualities in the other 2 books, I don't know. However, this is the Stalkers version and I don't really know a lot about stalkers, so I feel like this would be really interesting. I also picked this as well because one of my goals is to still keep diversifying my reading. I still want to read a lot more non-fiction and a lot of other genres that I never usually pick up, so I've added this to the list for that reason. Will I enjoy it? That remains to be seen. Will it possibly be the last book that I ever pick up? Yes. Now the next book that I've picked is also part of a trilogy, and that is Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Now if you've been on this channel for a while, you would know that the Lunar Chronicles series by her is one of my favourites, and it also remains to be one of my favourite retelling series of all time. Now I read Heartless by her back in 2021 and I absolutely hated it. For anyone who doesn't know, that is a retelling of Alice in Wonderland. I just really couldn't get on with it. I think I rated it like 2 stars or 1 star. Hated it. That is why I've been a little bit apprehensive in picking up this trilogy. I've heard really good things about it. It's a sci-fi series. I will read the blurb for you in a minute, but because I hated Heartless so much, I was a bit like, oh, maybe because my reading tastes have changed, maybe I don't enjoy her writing anymore. However, I still really want to read this and I'm really hoping that I'm going to enjoy it. So the back basically says, Nova is an anarchist, a girl on a mission for vengeance after heroes sworn to protect her family failed her. Adrian is a renegade, a boy with extraordinary abilities who believes in justice and in Nova. They should be sworn enemies, but Nova finds herself torn between Adrian and the Renegades and a villain that could destroy them both. It sounds really good. I'm usually not into sci-fi. Sci-fi is not one of my go-to genres. In fact, I don't think I've read much. I've maybe read 1 or 2 books. I want to see if I enjoy Marissa Meyer's writing still. Maybe Lunar Chronicles was just the fluke and I enjoyed it back then, which is exactly why I don't reread series, because I feel like maybe if I read it now I wouldn't enjoy it as much. This is a goal for this year because this would complete another series on my shelf and I really don't have much. A lot of the books that I have left are like the first book of a series and that's it. So then the last 2 books, I didn't realise that I'd done this, but they are both dark academia, I believe. I know that this particular one is, but I think the other one is as well. But the next book that I am hoping to complete this year is, I'm going to say Babel by R.F. Kuang. Now a lot of people keep saying Babel and I hate saying Babel because it just reminds me of like babies talking, so I'm going to call it Babel, okay? Leave me alone. So this is a dark academia that takes place in Oxford, England, and I have heard nothing but good things about this author. I know that she wrote The Poppy War, which is on my Kindle, which I have yet to pick up. However, I really want to read a book by this author this year and I'm hoping that I'm going to enjoy this one. The main reason I bought this is for the cover because it's just so beautiful and I kept seeing it everywhere and I just caved, okay? I will read you the blurb just because I feel like it's easier to get a gist of the book that way. So it reads, Oxford 1836, a city of dreaming spires. It is the centre of all knowledge and progress in the world, and at its very heart is Babel, Oxford University's prestigious Royal Institute of Translation, the tower from which all power of the empire flows. Orphaned in Canton and brought to England by a mysterious guardian, Robin Swift thought Babel a paradise until it became a prison, but can a student stand against an empire? So essentially it's a dark academia, it's about kind of the secret society. That sounds really exciting to me. Dark academia is still a genre that I really want to get into and I haven't yet found a dark academia book that I've loved, so I'm really hoping this year is going to be the year that I find one because it sounds right up my alley, but I just haven't found that one book that I'm excited about yet. So then the last book on this list is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Now let me just say that the only reason that I bought this back in the day is one, because I'd read Shadow and Bone and I had not yet read Six of Crows, which let me just say is way better than Shadow and Bone. Secondly, because I love the cover, because obviously I love snakes. Now, as far as I can remember, I believe that this is a dark academia and I cannot remember what it's about, so I'm going to have to read the blurb for you guys. But the second book releases this year. I can't actually remember if this is supposed to be like a duology or a trilogy or what it's supposed to be, but I believe the newest book has already released by the time you're seeing this, so I really want to read this just to see whether it's worth me buying the second one or whether it's worth me unhauling this altogether and then not reading the second one. I don't want to buy the second one and then realise that I don't like this series altogether. So it says, Alex Stern is the most unlikely member of Yale's freshman class, a dropout and sole survivor of a horrific unsolved crime. The last thing she wants is to cause trouble, not when Yale is supposed to be her fresh start, but a free ride to one of the world's most prestigious universities was bound to come with a catch. Alex has been tasked with monitoring the mysterious activities of Yale's secret societies that have yielded some of the most famous and influential people in the world. Now there's a dead girl on campus, and Alex seems to be the only person who won't accept the neat answer the police and campus administration have come up with for her murder, because Alex knows the secret societies are far more sinister and extraordinary than anyone ever imagined. They tamper with forbidden magic, they raise the dead, and sometimes they prey on the living. This sounds fantastic. I need to read it. I forgot how good this sounded and I realised now that I bought it for more reasons than I said. So yeah, this one is going on the list just to see whether it's worth me buying the second one. I would maybe like to read this before I go and buy the Cassandra Clare book just so I can buy them both at the same time. But yeah, this one's on the list. So those are the top 5 books on my TBR that I'm hoping to read in 2023. If you've read any of these books on my list, then please let me know what you thought of them below so that I can kind of gauge an idea of what people thought of them. What books are on your TBR that you're hoping to read this year? Please also let me know that in the comments. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and until the next time, I will see you then. So bye guys.